live in a world, don't we, that's all about youth. You know what I mean? Everybody's just chasing it. All the major companies just want the youth vote, the youth viewer. When in fact, of course, when you think about television, none of the young people are actually watching television. They're watching platforms like this. Well, we're youthful, aren't we? And we're watching stuff like this. I think really the problem is that television is suffering simply because, of course, nobody wants to give the time. Remember years ago when a certain show was on, everybody gathered around the television at that time because that's the only time you could watch, say, a brilliant comedy show or an amazing film or drama. Times have moved on. We're all literally on the move and can watch things as and when we want. I'm right, aren't I? But now, you see, it's interesting to note that the BBC, in its infamous wisdom, have decided once again to spurn the core viewer that makes this particular show such a sparkling, strictly success. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning, how are you? Nice to see you today. And as ever, thank you so much for joining me. Yes, I feel I should be in glitter for this particular segment because we're talking about the #1 show on the BBC right now, Strictly Come Dancing. It doesn't matter really about the non-entities that actually take part in the show. It is made up of a mixture of people, some you know, some you've never heard of. You know, that's the gig, isn't it? I, for one, have enjoyed the experience of Angela Rippon, our very first newsreader, if you like, glittering newsreader, who, you know, really was a bit of a shock to see a female newsreader. It's hard to imagine that now, isn't it, in the 1970s? And of course, dancing alongside the brilliant comedians Morecambe and Wise. But what's interesting here is the show every year goes to Blackpool, one of our major resorts up in Lancashire, being a very favourite holiday destination now for over 140 years. Famous for its Blackpool Tower, and in the halcyon days, all the big stars appeared there, from Judy Garland, Bob Hope to Mae West. Anybody who was anybody wanted to appear in Blackpool, including, I forgot there, Marlene Dietrich at the Winter Gardens. Absolutely. But now when you think about it, there's another thing that everybody knows about Blackpool. Oh yes, there is. That's right, this man, Reginald Dixon. Reginald Dixon reigned supreme at the beautiful Tower Ballroom for so many years, retiring in the early 1970s. Then, very succinctly, he was replaced by this man, Phil Kelson, who's also had a long tenure at the Tower Ballroom, 40 years. Played for, of course, Catherine and William, amongst other people, and received an award from His Majesty the King. So he comes with a lot of pedigree. Now, a lot of people wanted to know why, and very obviously, Phil could not open the show on the Blackpool week. I mean, popping up from underground on the famous Wurlitzer organ, literally inside the Tower Ballroom, his home. Millions of people over the years have danced to Phil on that highly sprung floor and would love to see him appearing on primetime TV. We spoke about it earlier on in an interview this year. He has no idea why he's never been invited to do such a thing. We contacted the BBC, took them ages to get back, but apparently it wasn't really in their remit. They didn't necessarily think it would resonate with their audience. The audience that watches Strictly Come Dancing is around about 55 plus upwards. Exactly the sort of audience that would welcome, admire, and be totally thrilled with the talented Phil at the organ. But once again, it's interesting, isn't it? Because they want the youth vote. They get people on that are not necessarily the audience that are watching it. I mean, I find it fascinating that on their big nightly show where they do the results, they don't have stars that resonate with the audience core, like, say, Sir Cliff Richard, Engelbert Humperdinck. And yes, you have to give younger people a chance, but also not why invite two stars on. So both sides are catered for. As for now, it looks like Phil will be popping up and down on, of course, the Wurlitzer organ in the Tower Ballroom for many years to come. But sadly, according to the BBC, they have no plans to feature this maestro of the keyboard that has entertained Blackpool audiences now for over 40 years and such a great delight. Isn't it a shame that because of an age thing, they simply don't want to make it happen? Shocking. I'd love to know what you think to this particular story in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.